factory. I need to read labels better.
Here's a preview.
So this is one of the demo bikes that we'll get to ride later. So what's the difference between the standard, which we just filmed, and the factory? So the first thing we'll look at, wheels may be different, same pattern, but completely different. So it would be interesting to see what the weight difference is between the wheels. Rear brake, rear sensor, swing arm is the same, exhaust is the same, but we have an electronic suspension shock, and that little 8mm here is our preload adjuster. So manual preload, electronic suspension. Now, the gap looks identical on the peg, and yep, it's right there, 5 inches. So the componentry of the rear set's the same. Both have the nice plastic cover, which obviously is going to protect the engine should you go down. Up front, we still have the adjustable Brembo lever with the adjustment. We still have the brake line clocked, which Dave will come through this way, clocked way over at 9:30 to 10. So there's zero room here, and even the electronics are squished behind the brake line, so we can't change the angle. The other question we asked about on the base model is when you turn that, how much room is here to drop it? So there's your closest point. So even if we clocked the brake line out to 12, we only have very, very little room here. But the good news is, and it's really hard to see, but have to come in through this way, there's quite a bit of room between the brake adjuster here and the dash, and the mount for the dash. On the other side with the clutch, there's nothing because the wheel's super close to the dash. So while we may be able to change angle on the clutch easily and get it much lower where we need it to be, we can't turn the bar forward at all. So ergonomically, our handlebars are actually in the maximum forward position, because if one is limited, you can't change the other one. And then obviously on the forks, we have the Öhlings electronic forks. So all we've got for adjustment, same as the shock, manually, is preload. So when these go out on track, then there's various settings we can go into the menu. So this is what this specific bike is set up with: traction control at 5, wheelie control at 1. Because it was wet this morning, so keep the front down, traction control all the way up to keep the bike as stable as possible. And then we can see the dash has been set to the track pattern, so you can see your lap times if you have sufficient time while you're going down the front straight here at Laguna to go ahead and move and change it. So see if you're improving, which is good. So as far as the factory goes, the big question for me, because the brakes are identical on the front, they're the same, what's the difference in wheel weight? Do we have forged aluminum or aluminium, depending on your country of origin? And what's the weight difference in the wheels? Because that's going to make an enormous difference to the way in which the bike behaves in turning and braking and acceleration. So we will see when we get to ride them this afternoon and see what thoughts and impressions are of that. But before we quit here and we get mobbed by all the flags falling over, one of the tests we always want to do is look at how the bike responds when we bounce it. That's part of the showroom evaluation. So given where this is set currently, that's 3 bounces. And again, I'm not trying a whole lot, so it's between 2 and 3 bounces. Let's take a look at the base model next to it. Straight down, straight up. Much more stable, much more planted. No. Totally different.
Yeah. We have 4. Yeah.
So that's an in-betweener.
People arrive and ride because it's still COVID kind of time, right? So the hotel experience, you can't hang out in the lobby and have drinks.
And that's the slowest of all of them. So we have a whole gamut on rebound. Interesting. There's a massive oil spill between 2 and 3 and the exit of 3 into 4.
So it was interesting that all the bikes were in track 1 when you bounced them, but they were all in active mode, but you still choose the setting you want in the active mode. Because you still customize the active mode.
Yeah. When you want to dive into it, yes. Alright, away we go. So we are on the factory with the electronic suspension. Basically preset by Aprilia. In the video we selected 37 and 39 as the best two with the settings that were in the bike at the time, so we're out on those. Demo rides are awesome and Aprilia provides a fantastic experience. To come out to tracks like this around the country and go ride the demo bikes. But remember, the experience you come away with, you need to qualify that by saying, is my bike 100% stock settings or is it something different? Because on demo rides, techs have the ability for a guy that's 300 pounds to change it up a little bit. And if you're the next guy on the bike, it might beat you to death and you go, this is horrible. Please be careful about forming an opinion and only do so after you've asked the appropriate questions.
Catch the full video at DaveMossTuning.com.